So I used to have this dog walking gig where I would just walk dogs all over New York City, and for the most part, it was a good gig. I'd walk well-behaved dogs and things like that. But I remember one time I was walking this dude's Dalmatian, right? So this guy had a Dalmatian, and I walked into his apartment, and the apartment smelled like piss, and there was like newspapers and stuff everywhere, and I just had a bad vibe from there. It was like a weird looking apartment, and the Dalmatian was in a cage with a muzzle on, and the dude, like, he doesn't even, I knocked on his door, and he didn't even like let me in at first. He's like, oh, just wait up here. He was like in his pajamas or something, and then he came back and he opened the door, and then I see the Dalmatian in a muzzle in the cage, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then he told me, oh yeah, the dog's usually good, but if it gets a little out of hand, just be firm with it. Just try to get it to sit down, and you should be good. And I was like, all right, I guess if it gets a little crazy, I'll just try to, I'll try to get this dog to sit down or whatever. So the guy ends up leaving the apartment. I get the dog. I leave a couple minutes after he does, and this dog, it had a muzzle on, and that was his. The dog had a muzzle in the cage, and I kept the muzzle on. And this is in like Chinatown. So I start walking the dog. I'm scheduled for an hour walk. I'm walking the dog, and this dog is wild, man. It's like going in every direction, really pulling at the leash, like just intimidating other dogs. And this dog was just wild from the start, like a really badly trained dog. And the crazy part about it was this dog was chewing at its like leash, so it was like twisting its head back like every couple seconds like this, like chewing at its leash, trying to somehow like get its muzzle off and the leash off at the same time. And it was wild. So I'm walking, 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by, and the dog's just being wild, keeps on, pulling its head back. And, after a half hour, the dog actually is able to get rid of its muzzle. Somehow it contorted its head so many times and wiggled and everything. This dog was able to get the muzzle off, and I was like, all right, well, let me try to put it back on. And whenever I was trying to put it back on, the dog was not having it. It was like about to like bite me. It was running away from my hands, trying to put it on the muzzle. So I was like, whatever. Hopefully this dog won't attack anybody or do anything too crazy. I still got it on the leash, and hopefully it's not gonna do anything too crazy. So it's 30 minutes go by, 40 minutes go by, and I'm walking, and the dog has the muzzle off, and now this time it's still doing its usual, putting its head back, but it's chewing at the leash somehow. It's chewing at its leash, and it's somehow it was able to like undo the leash. It like was able to like chew on the like mechanism that attaches its chain with the leash, and this dog is running free and wild, and this dog's fast. So I'm like, damn, I'm in trouble here, man. I can't lose this dude's dog, and I damn sure can't have its dog like get run over by a car or something like that. So basically I'm in this busy Chinatown street, and I see the dog just running the distance, and I'm calling for the dog and it's not coming back, and I'm calling and I'm calling and the dog isn't coming back, and eventually I just start like telling people like, yo, can you get that dog? Can you get that dog? And people in the street started like forming in like formations, like one dude on the right side of the street, one dude on the left side of the street, another lady another like 20 yards back on the right side of the street, another dude another 20 yards back on the left side of the street. And I pretty much was able to like call enough people to get the like block surrounded. And so I start calling for the dog, and then the dog starts running for one lady, and then it like goes near her, and then it runs away and she wasn't able to get it, and then it runs for another person on the other side of the street, and then eventually one guy was able to like grab it quick when the dog ran up to it. And at that point I was like, all right, man, I'm not completing this walk. I'm just gonna get the dog from this guy, and I'm just gonna call it early and cut my losses while I still can. So at this point I get the dog back from the guy who cornered it on the street, and I'm not even using the muzzle or the leash. I'm just straight up grabbing the dog by its collar, because I know this dog, if I don't grab it by its collar, this dog is gonna get away. You know, it's this dog was like the hairy Houdini of dogs. It was able to escape everything. So I'm grabbing it by its collar. This wild Dalmatian dog, it's like growling at me, like, you know, it's all wild. And then I end up, you know, getting it back to the, you know, to the cage in the apartment. So I'm putting the dog in the cage in its apartment, and I got the dog in the cage. It's like growling at me. It's trying to, you know, it's trying to make a move on me. And just as I'm locking up the cage, the dog takes a bite out of my like puffy coat. I was wearing one of them like puffy, you know, winter jackets, and then feathers start flying all over this dude's apartment. And he's got white feathers from my coat spread out all over the apartment from his dog, which basically just attacked me. The coat actually acted as like a bulletproof vest, really, you know. If I wasn't wearing that, it probably would have pierced some skin. And then I'm like, whatever, man. I started cleaning some of the feathers, but there were so many of them, and I'm like, listen, like, this dog just like attacked my coat, like, and it's really impossible to clean everything. So I cleaned some of it, and there was a few, you know, there was a few other feathers around, and I just left. Then I'm just like, I left the apartment, and then I just decided to sit on the bench, on a bench nearby, and chill out a little bit. And then I get a text from the guy, and he's like, oh, by the way, I just have a question, why are there feathers in my apartment spread out here? And I told him, I'm sorry, man, your dog bit my coat, you know, and I cleaned it up, but I guess I missed a few spots. And he was like, oh, no problem, you know, no problem, thank you though. And that was basically my my most unique and challenging dog walk experience.